This is the 4th of July, and I'm going to go through these hives and check out to see how my queen rearing is going along, and a couple of other items in the hive. So I'll put this up hopefully where I'll be able to let it rest and not do much with it. So I'm going to just set it here, and what you're looking at is the Palmarized hive backside. So I'm going to smoke it a little, let them know I'm here on either catty corner. Take the lid off. Put it on the side here. We're going to start on this side here. This is this far side is Palmarized hive number 6. This was the last Palmarized hive started. There's not much of anything in this first box because this was the last one started, as I said, and so these are mainly frames of brood that I put in here to see how they are doing, and they are a bit somewhat agitated. Which tells me they don't have a queen, which I already know, because that's what we're in the process of making. So we got lots of nectar and cleaned out cells, and the frames of brood that I gave them are still in here. I'm going to check the other frame just to make sure everything is kosher. So here we go, very gently, just in case they've started to construct some cells, which I don't see yet. They've got cells cleaned out for the queen, and we have 2 queen cells already sealed, and more on the other frame. So this is the one that came from the frame came with the queen cells came from the one over at the pastor's house, the second hive over there. So this is about what I expected. So they'll be hatching that out probably in another, I'll guess probably another week or so. So that's the completion of that. So that was just a quick check. Now what we're going to do is take a look on the other side, which just move my stool over here so I can work, and we'll take the cover off. And this you should be able to see better, hopefully, because of the position. Here we go. So this is Palmarized hive number 5. The other side, we just finished 6. Bring my cover over to this side so I'll have some place to put the super. There's not too much up here that I expect to see, but we'll take a look anyways. This frame has a lot of honey and a lot of and some pollen. This one that I'm going to pull now is the second one toward the middle, from the middle I should say. This has lots of pollen, and the area for brood has been cleared out. The inside one the same. So we've looked at the top. Again, this is Palmarized 5, number 5. So this is kind of the super area. We'll take the super off and take a look down below. And notice I'm using two different hive tools here. This picks the frames up pretty easy, and this one has got the curved end, so you can get a little force behind it when you want to stick it in the side here to split the supers, like I'm just doing. Once you get them free, you kind of just move them off like that. So now we're down to just a little bit of smoke to let them know we're here. And we're going to put the smoke back here, hopefully where it won't bother me so much. I use cedar shavings in mine. I expect this inside, I should say this outside frame here, to be mostly stores, because on these Palmarized hives they don't like to put their brood facing the outside, just like a regular hive. So that's what that is. That's all stores. A lot of pollen, more so than some I've opened. Now let's see what we've got here. We have a queen cup, no queen cell. Okay, we're going to put this out here just so I'll have a little bit more room to look and maybe not mess up any queen cell that I pull out of here. This is a shallow frame, and the only reason I would have put a shallow frame in here is because it had well, it's interesting. There must be a queen loose in here somewhere, because I've got two open queen cells. That's why I put this frame in there. So I'm going to put it back, and I'm going to mess with this hive for quite a while, at least another week. She'll have to fly, and she'll have to mate and come back and start to lay. So maybe more like, I'll say 6, and maybe closer to a week and a half to or so before she's actually laying real well. And if we don't have a queen in there, I have 10 in the making, which we haven't come to yet. So that's Palmarized hive number 5 with 2 seemingly released cells. We'll check in another 10 days, 6 to 10 days. We're done with this hive. Now we're going to switch around and lay it on the hive we just did, and start on the next Palmarized hive. This is 4 and 3, or 3 and 4 that we're going to do next. I'm just making sure with that movement that I had it was still recording. Okay, so now we're going to look at this hive. I was doing a little trimming on the grapevines that were kind of in the way. Let them know we're here, smoke on either catty corner. We'll lift the cover off. These are solid solid covers. The hole that would be the feeder hole or the air hole has been taped over for the summer anyways. This is the first side here. We'll put this out in the front here. This is side, if I remember right, this is side 3. Actually, this is the super. Under which we have to put the covers back on so we can keep these hives separated while we're working on them. Another benefit of these Palmarized hives is that you can do this. You can make sure, yep, this is 4. And I have my covers and my bodies numbered, which is a good idea. This is side number 3. We're going to give them a little smoke here. Now this may be, I'm not sure, but this might be my queen. Not. We'll find out here in a second. Now this was just a new frame. So you can see they're just now drawing this out, and this is in the top. Super. And there are queen cells all through there. Okay. So we know we have a laying queen. Nice pattern. You want to just take a look underneath. Okay, we got some burr comb here I'm going to just take off. Put it on the front of the hive, which I'll pick up later. A little bit smoke. You may not be able to see as much here since it's beyond the I'm replacing that frame with one from the top, and then I'm going to replace the one at the top with one from my excess. This is a queen right. This is number 3. This is a queen right nook, and very recent at that. So I'm going to put a new frame in here from the garage, so I'm going to have to go get one real quick. So here's a nice fully drawn out dark brood comb, and I'm going to slip it down in here, and this will take up this replacement for the one I took out. Normally I could probably work these hives without a suit and without gloves, and I sometimes do, but there's something to think about, is that beekeepers as a group have a higher incidence of anaphylaxis than do the general public, because they get stung a lot more often. Now you'd say, well, that produces antibodies from the antigens, and that should take care of the issue. But it doesn't always. Beekeepers are probably subject as a subgroup to more anaphylaxis than the general population because of the numbers of stings they take over their lifetime as a beekeeper. So, just a thought. It's not always so smart to leave yourself open for stings if you don't have to, with that in mind, of course. So now we're done with 3. This is number 3. So we're going to go and work the opposite side, which is 4. And this hive was a dead out originally because of a bad shipment of bees. And then we made a new nook from a compilation of different hives, frames from different hives / nooks. And one of the nice things about Palmarized is you can do that because you're going to have you're going to have excess frames to work with that have brood and or honey. So this particular hive on this side had a nice queen cell before, and I have to be careful not to damage it when I take these frames out. I can't exactly remember whether it was on the first story or the bottom story. I was thinking it was this, but you can see this is all drawn out honey, most of which is getting capped probably by the end of this week, believe it or not, and it doesn't fall out when you turn it facing the ground. So I'm going to just take a careful look on these other frames here and see if this is the frame that had the queen cell or not. Have to be very careful you don't destroy which meant. And this is, again, you can see, show you the other side, a lot of honey here. This particular Palmarized hive had a medium super on it because of that. Now I'm going to take this one last thing, and I think the queen cell is probably in the bottom half. This should be, again, honey. And it is. And what I'm going to do, since they've stored it all on this side, I'm going to make it a little bit easier to them access. Turn it around and let them draw this other side out, face it toward the interior of the other frames, or toward the middle of the hive, if you will. I'll push this back in place, and then put that frame that I leaned up over here. I'm going to put it back in, and I'm going to kind of reverse it outward so they can fill that out easier. You may not like what I do, but from the standpoint of trying to facilitate or help them, but I'll try. Keep these boxes from getting mixed up and running the risk of bringing the queen from either side over to the wrong side. Is you keep the lid on the one side that you're not working, and then you go ahead and keep this one open and go down to the bottom. Now I'm going to pick up the camera carefully and move it over here and let you take a look inside the bottom of this hive so you can appreciate how stuffed, pardon the movement of the camera, but here you go. This hive is just stuffed with bees, okay? So there you go. Give you a good look. And I haven't smoked them at all. So I'm going to put this back up here. You won't be able to see much, but you will be able to hear. I'm looking actually for that one queen cell that was ready to hatch. I need a little smoke on these babies. Get my stool over here so I can work them. And my tool. Here we go. This is kind of a little smoke on the top to kind of clear the top of the frames. This hive also has a fair amount of burr comb, which I'm going to just slide right off and give it to them, give it back to them. After I get the little bee right at their entrance. Just saw the color of this honey. It's pretty much water white, which suggests that this is probably good old clover. Okay, here comes the first. Well, guess what? we have a laying queen. Yes, sir, we do. And this is hive number 4, which was the dead out. We have a nice brood pattern. So that queen cell that I saw about 6 or 7 days ago is obviously hatched, and she's got a pretty good early pattern. Now you can't judge a queen that's just mated right out of the gate. They take a little time, like anything else, to get up to speed. Not always, but most of the time. And the temperament of this hive is kind of matched that, you know. And I'm going to show you this queen cell here if I can. We're going to blow on it. I'm going to put it right in front of the camera. It's right kind of to the top of the frame and about an inch down, and it's got a hole in the side, but more importantly, look at the hole in, I'm going to show it, at the bottom. So you'd say when you see holes in the side, that means you maybe got more than one and they killed a queen. The other queen did. But what happened here is she hatched out of the tip as normal, and then they are cutting this down. Okay, they are disassembling that queen cell. So that's really what's going on. So you have to be careful how you interpret what you see, and a lot of that is experience. So I'm happy now. I have a queen in this hive, and so this side is queen right, and this one, which wasn't 6 days ago, is now queen right and has a laying pattern. I take the smoker off, and what we're going to do is reassemble this nook to where it was before. This little nook probably weighs, this one here with all the honey, probably weighs a good 30 pounds. That's why I gave it a Now what we do is, before we take this cover off and put the queen excluder back on, I smoke it. You say, why do you smoke it? Remember, we've got a new queen here, and they're kind of speedy, kind of flighty. You don't want her coming up and crossing over. Then you have the possibility of a nice queen fight slash, or they could either one or both be injured and not be productive, and then you're in trouble again. So there I did. What I did was move it. Okay. Now we're going to put the excluder back on. So I checked my camera just a minute ago, and it had gone off. So we're on the we finished the 2 Palmarized hives, which are 5 and 6 and 3 and 4. So now we're working on the last hive. This is July the 4th, Friday, and this is the last package hive that I 3-pound package that I got from H&R Apiaries as a replacement for the one that died in shipment. The problem there being that the issue was probably not the person who shipped it, but the shippers, which is the United States Postal Service, and they probably on the one that was shipped that died, it was strapped to another one, and they probably pushed it up against something such that that particular one on the end that died suffocated or got overheated and didn't make it. Now this is the one my wife put the super on in her bear skin, so to speak. And they are into that big time. Now, I hope you can see this, but if you can't, I'm not surprised, because the camera is at a higher level, but here's hoping. But I'm going to still speak, but this is more for my record keeping than it is for publishing. So I'm going to do is just take this burr comb off of here, which we really don't need. I usually just put it on top of the hive next to it that I've already worked. Pick it up later when the bees are not that interested in it, because there's not much in it this time. A little bit of honey, but not much. So now we've got it all. Okay, so this hive was looked at about a week earlier, and it was supered on Sunday, this past Sunday. Today is Friday, like I said, so that was 4 days ago. Well, 4.5 days ago, but anyways, it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 frames of brood slash pollen, and the other 3 are being worked on. Just got rid of the burr comb. There is a bunch of burr comb, as you can see here on the cover. It's making a lot of noise. Probably doesn't make it good for making the bees happy. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to scrape most of this off of here and put it in my solar wax extractor. It's over there on the end that we're kind of going, sitting on the ground. I actually have a video on YouTube that shows you how to make one of those for less than 15 bucks, maybe less than 10, but you can buy the sweater box it's made from at Myers or Target or any of those places. This hive here, this super rather, weighs about 25 to 30 pounds. And when it was put on, it was probably about 20. So we've already got some nectar in this hive in six days. Now the interesting thing is, I don't know if you can see it you probably can't, but what they've done is they've put new honey slash nectar in an arc like this all the way down here. They've kept the center clear, and that has new eggs in it. So this super is a continuation of the deep below. So in Indianapolis, I used to have 2 deeps as my brood chamber, but I switched it to a deep, which I keep permanently on the bottom board unless I remove it to clean the bottom board. And then a medium takes the place of a deep. That makes it much more manageable for me to work because of the weight. I'm 71 and I've got problems with my heart and stents and bypass and diabetes for 26 years, and well controlled on the diabetes, but this is a great hive, and it's expanded upwards into the middle 3 to 4 frames, and it's doing just exactly what it should be doing, building up. So when this gets a little bit more populated, I'll put another super on, and that'll be the first honey super, and that'll probably come in another couple of weeks, believe it or not. So here's all the burr comb, and I save that, and I'll show you what I do with it right now. I'm going to move this camera, and I got these grubby old you can see how much propolis is on my gloves. I'm going to show you. There's my sweater box solar wax extractor, or melter if you will, and I hope you can see it. But now I'm going to put the camera on the hive that we just worked, which is the one we have right here, and you'll be able to see the final palmarized nook that I'm going to work in. Whoops, there goes the camera, because then my bulky fingers may have to edit this a little so we don't have to watch it all in movement. But anyways, there's the next step. So I'm going to take the cover off. And this is Palmarized hive 6 and 7 and 8. I have one more that I haven't started, and it's in the garage, and it's 1 and 2. I just grabbed them as I grabbed them out of the garage and went according. No special order, I don't care, just as long as I keep my numbers straight for my records. So we're going to go into number 7 on the Palmarized now. This side here was started later and doesn't have nearly as many bees, and that hasn't changed. I'm going to just take a quick look underneath to make sure we're packed, and we are. So that's all I need to do for 7. I just want to make sure there weren't any surprises. So that's number 7. Then we're going to go into number 8. Right across the way. When this gets a little bit more populated in the upper, like this side here is, I will put a super on it. Now, here's a thought. Since this is palmarized and you can borrow from either side, you can actually take from one side that is populated and put it in another side that needs population or needs frames, and you can equalize them. And then just set this back a little and bring that one up closer to where this one is. And the advantage there is that when you super, then you'll have both at about the same status of population and development, and then they can help, both sides can help equally for the most part in drawing out your super of honey. So I don't know if you can see it, but I hope you can. I gotta move the camera just a tad because it's pointing kind of that way. Now you might be able to see better. I'm not sure what the wide angle of on this is or not, but anyways, this is I give them a little bit of smoke. You don't need much. You think about a bee and its size and the volume of smoke sometimes that you, if you're a newbie, that you put in there. I got some bird comb here. We got some little ladies that are interested in getting to the honey before I swipe it. So I just treat them individually. I try to keep these top bars not totally clear, but you know, clear enough. This is very clear honey. I'm going to just pull this. This is the queen right colony, so you have to be careful when you're working a hive all the time that when you pull your frames up, you take your time about it and kind of keep them straight and bring them up slowly. So if the queen's on this frame, she's in an area where she might get messed with, you know, squashed, that she's not going to get squashed. I like to set my frames down on the corner like that, but I always give the bees a chance to get out of the way. It could be the queen sitting there, you know. But for camera work, what we see here is Here's your arc of honey. There's a little bit of pollen in there on the below it, which you're supposed to have. And then this whole area has been cleared out. This was filled with brood about 6 days ago, so we're in the process. I'm looking into those cells. We got new eggs and new larvae already in there, so we got a good laying queen. So all I need to know is that this nook is making good progress, and that's all we need for this hive. I was really thinking about maybe swapping a frame, but I think they're pretty close to where the other side is. I guess I could take one out of this top, maybe. Let's just go take a look here in a minute and just do some real eye-to-eye matching. Now, you have both lids off. You want to smoke the first one before you take the second one off. Make sure the queen is down. I don't care if the workers move over, but you don't want the queen moving over. Now, see, this isn't quite equal. So let's just do what I suggested. Let's take this semi-drawn out frame. Let's take a frame out of this one that may be in better shape. Okay. I'm going to take the outside frame, which is usually chock full of stores, okay? I could take the inside, but I don't need to. So this is the outside frame, and like I said, it should be full of stores, but guess what it's full of? Brood. So that, if I use this, make sure the queen's not on here. Another trick you can use when you had a bunch of bees gathered on the frame, you're not sure whether she's on here or not, just get it up real close and just gently blow on it. Don't have to be aggressive, okay? Particularly if you have bad breath, you know. You don't want to scare the poor things or kill them. A little humor there, of course. Now, I'm going to leave the nurse bees on now and stick it right back in here. And they say, well, you're mixing bees. Well, guess what? You can do that. It's overrated. So now I take the frame that was in that position, and I'm going to stick it here, because see, now this thing here has one that's pretty full, and then they've got this one over here which you haven't seen, which is a all plastic frame. Okay, I'm going to pull one of these up so you can see, and it's narrower, and quite frankly it's a lot easier to mess with, but I'll show you what it looks like. See, she's got brood there. That's the inside toward the middle wall, okay? And it's full of, she's laid the brood pattern all the way out. Even though it's not all capped, she's laid it all the way out, and you got the arc of honey, and then on the back side, see, it was all honey, and she's just got a little bit of room to lay. So in the upper box, so giving her actually a drawn out frame, she's got two in the center and actually one on the outside. So this one here on the outside will probably be filled up with honey again. These two will give her some place to lay if she gets honey bound in the bottom. And you got to watch that, because we're in a honey flow, and if that happens, the queen doesn't have any place to go. Guess what? She will start making, they'll start making swarm cells, because even in June, July, and maybe even later, if bees get too stinking crowded, they'll just hightail it. They don't always have a good calendar in their head like the beekeeper. They do what's best for them anyways, not what's best for the beekeeper. And they've been doing it for many thousands of years, maybe millennia. So we've got 7, 8 in that order. I'm going to put the lid back on. Now carefully I'm going to move without touching the camera so that I turn it off. And this last hive here is the nook. I have another one on the deck, so I've jumped from 7 hives to 9 hives. This one was just made, I don't want to say Sunday, okay, so this is Saturday, I guess. And this is a 5-frame nook, but this is what I used to use years ago and continue to use until I came across Michael Palmer, and I used to stack these together, and then I would overwinter the 2 or 3 stacker right along next to my full-size hive, and I would wrap the 2 together and just leave the common entrances open, and a top one available for the bees to fly if it got plugged. So I didn't have them made quite like you see here, but the way he's taken these top nooks and cut them down and kept the double wall in the center makes them a lot easier to handle, and I think gives a little bit of added, I know gives a little bit of added insulation to the center, to the center of that setup, or actually more toward the middle. I don't know if you can see this, but these were full frames of brood that I took out of several of my nooks and one hive, and this is now just starting to hatch out, and the population was going to really increase in a hurry here. Now, I had marked a cell on this, which I thought that they would develop a queen from, okay? And I put some X's and stuff on it, so I'm going to look at this now and see if they've done anything like that. I'm curious, because it did have some eggs and stuff. Well, I don't see anything on that side, and I don't see anything on this side. Oh yes, I do. There's a queen cell right here, right there, okay? So we do have a queen cell. And the other 2 frames I put in were, one was honey and the other one was honey and this one was honey and brood and pollen. So let's see if we got anything here. We got lots of brood there, and we have brood and honey on the other side. So we have, I'm going to change the location of this. Put this, let's see what we got here. Yeah. Put this over to the other frame that has more brood in it to keep the hive, keep it a little warmer and easier to maintain. Give them some extra room. I always give these nooks extra room, even if they put burr comb in, because when you work them, this one's a 5-framer and I got room for 5 frames, but I only put 4 frames in it, so that when I pull these, since I'm expecting them to start queen production, that I can get them out without damaging the queen cells and without having to pull the frame so often and laying it outside, because temperature is critical on brood and queen cells, obviously. So that's all I'm going to do today. That's 3 Palmarized hives, which is 3 times 2 is 6. 1 standard hive, which is 7. This is 8, and I have 1 on the deck over in the distance, which I can give you a picture of. I'll just turn my camera around. and look in the distance there, and you will see another hive to the side of the railing coming off the deck. Center of the thing, you should be able to see it. But that's all I'm doing today, and it looks good. It looks very promising. So this is the 4th of July 2014, and it is a nice day with gorgeous blue sky, white fluffy clouds, and a moderate temperature, probably going to reach the 80s if we're lucky today, which is unusually nice for a 4th. And it has been a pleasure looking in my hives, as it always is. And was in an outyard a few days back, and looked at a situation where I had 4 hives and 2 of them had no queens, but I had given them some materials to make a queen from. And it was nice to get back there and see that those hives had turned around and they were building up very rapidly. So the other 2 bee yards are doing equally as well, and God has been good. And the honey is flowing, and we've had tons and tons of rain and scads of clover, considering we had, starting last year and the year before, we had 2 consecutive years of drought where we had to water to save just the fruit trees. But we managed to do that for the most part, and now we have the opposite end, which is rain, rain, rain. So we'll get back together maybe on the stats on the groundwater and aquifers in our area, considering the drought. Wish I could say the same for California, but they're not. There's a lot of areas in California where they're not very good stewards of the natural resources, and I think they're going to pay the price for that over time. And we are, as a nation, going to pay the price, because a lot of our food comes out of that state. So this is G. Wooster with some final thoughts, and just letting his mind wander and ramble on. Forgive me. Signing off.